Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales would like to invite everyone to their newly renovated events hall, a beautiful 9,600 square foot facility that features a 5,500 square foot main hall and a separate 600 square foot conference room. Renters have access to our huge kitchen, large stage, tables, chairs, bar, and covered outdoor cooking. So plan your next wedding, party, conference, and more at The Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
You could be driving.
Honda has won more U.S. News and World Report awards than any other brand in the last decade. And now you can add another one to the list, being named the best car brand of 2022. Come get your Honda today at Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, Team Honda on Siegel Lane.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Welcome as we start today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. Here's hoping all is well with you and yours in your world. Since the last opportunity we had to spend a little time with you and yours at the end of last week. We start today's show with Louisiana news and the ABC affiliate here in Baton Rouge, WBRZ News 2, revealing this week that through a Freedom of Information Act, they have acquired hundreds of emails regarding text messages, not emails, text messages relating to the governor's office and state police and their handling / bungling of the tragic case of motorist Ronald Green. Some of the messages indicate a need to improve the image of state police amid the growing controversy over how the agency handled Ronald Green's death. The emails and text messages are thousands of pages long and show that the general public wanted some answers in that regard. Now, as you well know, last week, Governor John Bel Edwards held a news conference after meeting with the Legislative Black Caucus, saying that he in no way, shape, or form tried to hinder that investigation. Let me say for the record, I don't have access to all of these text messages or emails, nor am I willing to, quote, rush to judgment. I will say, however, number one, the family of Ronald Green deserves closure. They deserve justice. And this would be true of any family, regardless of race, creed, color, political affiliation, what have you. Additionally, number two, the taxpaying citizens of Louisiana deserve to have an agency that they can trust unequivocally, not to mention the fact that the good men and women in state police deserve to be believed and supported by the public for the jobs that they do. At the end of the day, y'all, this is not going to go away. And the sooner we can put everything on the table, the sooner we can find out all involved, the sooner we prosecute the individuals responsible, the better off we're going to be as a state. You guys and girls know full well that the media these days is looking for things to push whatever narrative it is that you want to push. But when all is said and done, transparency is always the best medicine. We may not like what happened, we may not condone what happened, but at the end of the day, put the facts out there, let them fall where they may, and we'll deal with it. But the constant back and forth with no clear vision for the citizenry of what's actually involved obviously does a whole lot more damage than it does good. While we're talking about crime, in recent memory, we have talked over and over and over again about the increases in juvenile crime, particularly here in South Louisiana. And as a result of people being sick and tired of being sick and tired, the DA in Acadiana, DA Don Landry, says his office, which covers Acadia, Lafayette, and Vermilion parishes, they are now ready to move in the direction of juveniles committing violent crime in those three parishes will now face prosecution as an adult. So if you reside in any of those parishes and you know your child is out of control, you know your child is hanging with the wrong crowd, you know your child is involved in criminal activity, the days of a little slap on the wrist, those days are rapidly going by the wayside. People are simply sick and tired of being sick and tired. And when we allow our society to get to the point where juveniles are committing adult crimes, due in large part to the fact that they don't fear adult prosecution, then that's on us. You can think back to when you were a teenager. You know the years, the time you thought you knew everything about everything and nobody else knew anything about a darn thing. You would push the envelope to see just how far you could go. And once those boundaries were not only established but enforced, all of a sudden you had a change of heart, didn't you? Well, we have been obviously far too lax in recent memory. And in the words of the great philosopher Forrest Gump, it has come back to bite us in the buttocks, pure and simple. And at the end of the day, y'all, yes, it says something about what juveniles have become in our state. But for me, it says even more about us as a society because we have allowed this to happen. Now listen, y'all, I get it. I understand in communities, Clarence, you got to understand where I come from, snitches get stitches. I understand all that. But they can't kill everybody. And the simple fact of the matter is, as it should be in time, juveniles become smarter and smarter and smarter at earlier and earlier ages. And when we give them the impression that, well, bless their little old hearts, they really didn't know any better, what do we think is going to happen? An interesting development recently in the city of New Orleans regarding 18-year-old Tyrese Harris. You probably don't know the name unless you are actively following the case. This is the 18-year-old that carjacked that poor woman at Costco, ran over the woman, left her with life-threatening injuries. Well, we now find out that this same 18-year-old is also implicated in the homicide of a 12-year-old and also implicated in other violent crimes in the New Orleans area. The DA there on one of these cases decided not to prosecute this 18-year-old because, and I'll paraphrase here, a lack of cooperation from the victim. Well, the feds apparently have gotten wind of this, and they're saying, no, you need to back this bus up. If you're not going to take care of him, we're going to charge him. So they have taken prosecution of this 18-year-old out of the hands of the DA. Now, I will leave to y'all to decide what kind of confidence or the lack thereof this move will instill in the DA. That's up to you to decide. But at this point, I say bring it on. Because when all is said and done, the good, decent, hard-working folks of our state and this part of our state deserve to be able to feel comfortable to do something as mundane as go to the freaking Costco and get some gas without having to worry about some clown pulling a gun on you, stealing your vehicle, and running over you in the process. Not to mention stealing other cars, resulting in the shooting death of a 12-year-old. This says a lot about juveniles in our state, but it also, my fellow Louisianians, says a whole lot about us and how we have allowed this to happen in our state. When all is said and done, y'all, we're the adults. They're the kids. Now listen, I get it. They didn't ask to come here. You made them. You brought them here. But you also have a responsibility to them to rear them in such a manner that when they become adults, they are leaning more toward being positive, contributing members of our society instead of looking to victimize somebody out on the streets. If we don't get a handle on this thing, y'all, real soon, and you know, it's particularly troublesome because having grown up in Baton Rouge at a time where you didn't worry about locking the doors when you went to bed. You didn't worry about putting burglar bars on the house. You didn't worry about having to make that quick trip to the grocery store before it gets dark because God only knows what's going to happen when the sun goes down. We're supposed to be better than this, y'all, and we should demand better. If we don't, when all is said and done, we will have no one to blame but ourselves. The time of pointing the finger at the school system, at the teachers, at law enforcement, the judiciary, all of these places, that time is long gone, y'all. We need to look in the mirror because these are our kids and we need to deal with them accordingly. First break of today's show. It is, of course, Tuesday. That means we're coming up on the second segment, and it is time for yet another illustrious edition of Now That's Just Stupid. That's next when we continue today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing.
You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
The Mazda CX-30, named an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus. Perfect for the journey ahead.
Start your journey in a new Mazda CX-30. Right here at Team Mazda on Airline.
Hi, gang. Clarence Bugs here, inviting you to come by Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, where we tape the show live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 11 o'clock. Come by and feast on news, sports, current events, love of God and country, and lots of common sense, along with some of the best barbecue anywhere on the planet. 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Old School Barbecue, home of the Clarence Bugs Show.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. As you may or may not know, we have instituted a new segment on the show entitled, "Now That's Just Stupid." But we're not talking your regular, everyday garden variety stupid, which of course we all spell S-T-U-P-I-D. The folks we're talking about in this segment have taken it to an entirely different level. Hence, the new spelling, S-T-O-O-P-I-D, as in, now that's just stupid. We start, surprise, surprise, with a Florida man story. Port St. Lucie. Look, the people giggling already. Oh, Florida man. Here come Florida man. Port St. Lucie, which, by the way, is a wonderful city. I've been there. I was blessed to do spring training with ESPN's This Week in Baseball, TWIB for baseball fans, covering spring training for a couple of years. Port St. Lucie, Sarasota, Bradenton, Plant City, Tampa, St. Pete, Vero Beach. Got to visit all these wonderful places. Well, Bradford Whitesell stole a car in Port St. Lucie, ended up leaving the car stranded on some railroad tracks, and you can probably guess the rest. Train comes through, hits the car, knocks it into a home, pretty much destroying the home. Fortunately, no one was injured. The problem was, aside from stealing the car and leaving it on the tracks, was that Bradford claims he stole the car, quote, in a good faith effort to search for his own car after he couldn't remember where he'd left it when he got ready to leave the bar where he was. Now that should have been a sign, bruh. If you can't remember walking out of the bar where you left your car, how much have you had to drink, number one, to not know where you left your car, but number two, to steal a car and think it is a, quote, good faith effort to find your vehicle. So apparently, dude is so drunk he doesn't know where his car is, but I'm going to steal the car to ride around looking for my car. So it gets better. After leaving the car on the train tracks, cars run over, knocked into a house. After this, dude, Florida man, then tries to steal a forklift from a nearby fruit stand that he burglarized. Now, it's a busy night, bro. That's right, Marty, it's a busy night. Now, I understand dude obviously had too much to drink. Couldn't remember where his car was, went out, stole another car to make a good faith effort to find his car. But after leaving it on the train tracks, destroying someone's vehicle and their home, he then steals a freaking forklift. Now, I will be the first to admit, y'all, I will fess up. I've never driven a forklift in my life. But you have, Marty? Plenty of times. Is that your choice of getaway vehicle?
Yeah, but if you got to get your car home, you just don't drive your car.
Oh, there you go, man. You think like Florida man. Marty just told me, well, he probably stole it because when he finally found the car, he didn't want to drive the car home, so he put it on the forklift and stole the forklift to take his car to the house. Florida man, Florida man, Florida man. And they talk about us here in Louisiana. Dude stole a freaking forklift. Oh, and by the way, you can't make this kind of stupid up. Dude on the forklift flags down the police and tells them, don't worry about me, I'm just looking for my car. Like I say, y'all, you can't make this stuff up. Of course, now, insanity, utter stupid, is not just confined to the east or the southeast coast. Let's go all the way back across the country in the opposite direction to the city of Los Angeles and their mayor, Eric Garcetti. You've heard, and they just continue to be fodder for this. You've heard conservatives preach about the hypocrisy of rules for thee, but not for me. Recently, at the NFC Championship game, the mayor of LA was spotted with Magic Johnson and a couple of other well-known folks at the game. And of course, you know, it's the camera phone age now, so when you meet a celebrity, you want a selfie or you want a picture. So, no mask while you're shaking hands and hugging Magic and all of this. And they take a picture of the mayor with no masks. Immediately, the social media reaction is blistering. So, as politicians do, particularly on the left, when the heat starts, we got to come up with an excuse. Doesn't matter, apparently, that your excuse is pure stupid. You come out and say it anyway. So the mayor of LA says, well, I don't understand what everybody's upset about. I was holding my breath. I didn't breathe. Dude wants us to believe that you sitting there skinning and grinning with Magic Johnson, but you weren't breathing. Can't let the COVID get in. Even though I don't have my mask on, I'm not breathing. rules for thee, but not for me. And of course, this falls in that long line of liberals that preach to you one thing, wear a mask, wear a mask, wear a mask, while they do something completely different. Finally, Stacey Abrams, speaking of hypocrites, shows up at an elementary school in Georgia to take part in Black History Month activities. She's going to read to an elementary class. So she reads, and of course, it's a big photo op for her. Every child in the class, looking at the camera, has a mask on. Let me add, at this school, the rule is everyone, students, staff, teachers, janitors, lunchroom workers, everybody, if you're indoors, you have to have on a mask. So why then in this picture is the only person without a mask, you guessed it, Stacey Abrams? Rules for thee, but not for me. And of course, social media, blistering. You're showing us again that, rules for thee, but not for me. So, as they always do, they had to come out and explain this. Her campaign comes out and says, we believe this, we trust the science. Now, let me understand this. You trust the science. And the science says, does it not, that children are at the very bottom of the risk category for COVID. Overweight / obese individuals, and this is not a knock, it is simply a fact, of which Stacey Abrams happens to be, are at the top of the risk category. So in this instance, when asked, what's this all about? You're supposed to have the mask on. Everybody else has one on. Where's yours? Well, we trust the science, and they make it a point to add, speaking again of you can't make this stuff up, she only took it off after it was established that everybody else in the room had to keep theirs on. Now, if the science says kids are at the bottom of the risk category, you, Stacey, are at the top of the risk category. You should have been the one with the mask on and not the kids. That's why we spell it STOOPID, because that's just flat out stupid. Bottom of the hour break. When we come back, do you know who your neighbors are? There's a good possibility if Joe Biden continues to have his way, you won't. That's next when we continue today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Driver assistance technology comes standard on every Camry model as part of Toyota Safety Sense, setting the standard for safety every time you're on the road, no matter the destination. Save on your Camry today at Team Toyota, I-12 at O'Neill.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with The Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Caught spiders. Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. Question: do you know who your neighbors are? There is a distinct possibility, depending on what city and what state you reside in, that there's a whole lot of folks there that just arrived recently, and you have no idea who they are, where they are, and what their history is. The Department of Homeland Security last week announcing that tens of thousands of people in this country illegally, they have no clue where these people are. When the Biden-Harris Department of Homeland Security apprehends individuals entering this country illegally, many of them are given an NTA or an NTR, as in notice to appear or notice to report, where when you get settled, wherever it is, you get in touch with us, let us know where you are, and then come in so we can talk. What could go wrong, right? What could possibly go wrong? 40,600 some odd individuals here illegally, and they have no clue where they are. Of course, by the same token, they have been so busy, according to some sources, every freaking night, flying these individuals all around the country in the dead of night and dumping them, dropping them off. I understand in the grand scheme of things when it comes to government spending that $2 billion, billion with a B as in boy, is not a whole lot of money. But in the last year alone, the Biden-Harris administration has spent $2 billion taxpayer dollars flying folks that are here illegally to varying states and cities all across the nation. Again, in the grand scheme of things, you could make the argument, well, Clarence, with 30 trillion in debt, what's another 2 billion here or there? Well, you could make that argument, but you'd probably be in the last segment. Now, that's just stupid. 2 billion American taxpayer dollars. And they have no clue where over 40,000 of these individuals are in our country. Is that what you voted for? Oh, and speaking of voting, Democrats are in a world of trouble, y'all. You've, I'm sure by now, heard and or seen the recent polls that show a nosedive for the current administration. Matter of fact, an ABC Ipsos poll, when ABC, among the most liberal of liberals, reports numbers like this, you got a problem, Hoss. You got a major problem. 75% of those polled say the Biden-Harris economy, horrible. 76% reject his notion of only considering women of color for the Supreme Court. Of course, that might have a little something to do with the fact that he filibustered the first black woman that was going to sit on the federal bench, not just once, but twice, mind you, but I digress. Only 29% support him sending troops to Eastern Europe over the Russia-Ukraine situation. Here's where it gets really, really damning. New polls out now. Rasmussen is reporting 50% of voters, likely voters, say they have no problem impeaching Joe Biden over his handling of the withdrawal from Afghanistan and, wait for it, the out-of-control situation at the border. Now, I can hear some of y'all right now through the TV. Well, Clarence, you got to realize the country is just about split, between liberal and conservatives. So, they probably just ended up calling more conservatives than they did liberals. That's why it's the 50% that want him impeached. Well, it goes a little deeper than that, my fellow Americans. And this, I know, has to have Democrats shaking and quaking in their boots. Get this. According to this latest Rasmussen poll, 50% of black folks support impeaching Joe Biden over his withdrawal in Afghanistan and our situation at the border. 50% of what is arguably the most loyal part of the Democrat base, black folks, say, oh yeah, I wouldn't have any problem impeaching him for that because he's done a horrible job. Not only that, 34% of, wait for it, Democrats say he needs to be impeached for his debacle in Afghanistan and the apparent refusal to take serious what's happening at our southern border. When 34% of Democrats and 50% of black folk say this guy is so horrible at his job, he needs to be impeached, that's a problem, folks. That, my friends, is a problem. And of course, watching their poll numbers sink ever lower and lower and lower, they, the White House, thinks the way to fix this is to put Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in front of the camera more often, talking with regular Americans. So let me get this straight. Your numbers are in the cellar. But your opinion on how to fix it is to put a guy that might say anything about anything at any time in front of the camera even more. Actually, we could have put this segment in. Now, that's just stupid. Kamala Harris has bungled interview after interview after interview after interview. And your idea on how to improve the popularity is to put her in front of the camera even more. Joe Biden, Marty just went, Joe Biden cussing out reporters, whispering into the microphone, telling lies about his past employment, his involvement in civil rights, etc., etc., etc. You think it's a good idea to put him in front of the camera more. If it weren't so sad, and if it were not for the future of what is arguably the greatest country in the history of the human species, it might be funny. But it's not. Because we are talking about the leader of the free world here, y'all. We are still, regardless of what the liberals, the Democrats, and the mainstream media want to tell you, we are still the shining beacon on the hill that the rest of the whole freaking world wants to be a part of. And this, my friends, if you wink, wink, believe what they tell you, 81 million Americans want it. Huh. Marty said right about now, Donald Trump is sitting back at the house going, y'all miss me yet? Y'all miss me yet? But at least you don't have those mean tweets to be worried about anymore. Oh no, you ain't worried about mean tweets. You groaning like a son of a gun when you pull up to the gas pump. You groaning like a son of a gun when you look at the crime stats. You mad as all hell when you look at your grocery bill on how it's gone up. You just as upset as you can be when you look at our southern border and how we are literally being invaded. But at least you don't have to worry about those mean tweets anymore. Yes, Lord. God help my country. Final break of today's show. When we come back, it's like today's whole show could have been just, now that's just stupid. But here we go. Final break. We'll come back, put that big old pretty bow on this puppy, and wrap up today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
The
Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales would like to invite everyone to their newly renovated events hall, a beautiful 9,600 square foot facility that features a 5,500 square foot main hall and a separate 600 square foot conference room. Renters have access to our huge kitchen, large stage, tables, chairs, bar, and covered outdoor cooking. So plan your next wedding, party, conference, and more at the Post on Church Point Road, Gonzales.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready, and health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Welcome back for the final segment of today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. You know, too much of anything can be bad for you. As a human species, we many times have a tendency to gravitate towards things that we like, even though we know there's a possibility that that's not the best course of action. What's the old adage, everything that's good to you ain't good for you? You've also heard me say, God knows how many times, don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. In case you haven't figured out just yet, politicians, particularly those on the left, will tell you all sorts of things, mostly the things they think you want to hear, even though they don't really believe it. But if getting you to think they believe it will get them additional power, well, so be it. It ain't the first time they've lied to us, won't be the last. We have heard incessantly in recent memory that the planet is doomed. Climate change is going to kill everybody on the planet, and we're just going to be this dark sphere floating through the universe. And of course, one of those leading the charge is none other than the illustrious Nancy Pelosi. A few months back, she made it a point to let all of America know how committed she was to fighting climate change, saying that, quote, we have a moral obligation to save the planet. And of course, she also told us that this is like a religious thing to me. This is God's creation, and we are charged with being good stewards. Now, at face value, that sounds great. Sounds just like what you want to hear I mean, they've already convinced you that it's true, so all we have to do now is demonstrate a firm commitment to it, and everything will be okay. This is a religious thing to her. And yet, we find out now that in 1 year, Nancy Pelosi spent, can't make it up, over $500,000 flying on private jets. Now, I could be wrong here. The science that talks about how damaging, pollution-wise, it is to fly on private jets. She spends over $500,000 flying around on private planes. But we have, according to her, a moral obligation to fight climate change. It's like I said not long ago. Don't listen to what they say. Watch what they do. That is always, my opinion only, the absolute best way to know what somebody's all about. Just watch them. Put aside the rhetoric, put aside the catchphrases, put all that aside. And after they finish yapping, lying to you, then watch what they do. You know, our country's history is rife with individuals saying one thing and doing something else. And they know, particularly the left, just how to frame it to hoodwink you. These are the same folk that told everybody who would listen all of the problems in America is due, that they're caused by and a result of old white men. Old white men are the reason we have systemic racism, climate change, democracy failing, the whole nine. And who did they con you into voting for? But a senile, old white man. A guy, by the way, after they finished telling you how racist Donald J. Trump was, a guy who is responsible for co-sponsoring the legislation that locked up more black men in this country than any single piece of legislation since Jim Crow. But he will readily throw out Jim Crow 2.0. Well, I guess you would know, wouldn't you? If anybody should know it's Jim Crow 2.0, you ought to know. Just saying. They will tell you how racist Donald Trump was. And yet, the presidents of the historically black colleges and universities, while visiting Washington, called him up and said, "Mr. President, we're in town. Can we stop by and talk to you?" He said, "Sure. Y'all come on over." So they came over, started talking, and then President Trump said, "Well, why are y'all here? How can I help you?" They said, "Well, we need funding." "Okay, what you need?" Told him. "I'll say, all right, we can make that happen." So the year after that, they called the president back up again. "President Trump, we're back in town. Can we stop by?" "Sure. We had such a great visit last time. Y'all come on over." So sure enough, they go back and meet with him again. And after the pleasantries and the conversation, then President Trump says, "Okay, well, how can I help you? Why are you here this time?" "Well, we're here for funding." "No, you got your funding last year." "No." "Yeah, you did. I secured it." "Well, see, the problem is every year we have to come back for additional funding. And Donald Trump was like, say what? Yes, sir, Mr. President. Every single year we have to come before Congress and seek funding. So you know what that racist Donald Trump did? He said, oh, hell no. This is insane. I'll fix this. Got his pen and signed funding for HBCUs for the next decade. Oh, and by the way, understanding that economies change and whatnot, I'm going to build you in an increase every single year for the next 10 years. Sound like a pretty racist move to me. But that's how they play you. That's how they play you. Tell you one thing, do something else. Starting to feel like you've been suckered yet? Since the economy in this country has reopened, since it's reopened, Asian unemployment gone down. Latino unemployment gone down. White unemployment gone down. Wait for it. Black unemployment gone up. Funny how that works, isn't it? 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Old School Barbecue is where you find us every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, taping the show live. And like I always say, you never know who you're going to meet when you walk through the doors. Everybody's favorite crazy uncle, Roy Fletcher, and I mean that in the most loving way possible. Fletch Nation records their podcast here on Wednesday. Marty's favorite show, Rocket Right, Betsy Barnes, Dr. K. Solar, they record here as well. And, of course, everybody's favorite local sports show, Tigers Roar, with the Bud Man, Spicy Buddy Sanjay, and a guy that I am predicting is going to be national one day, Jonathan Poche. They record here as well. Am I leaving anybody out, Marty? Who? No, that's it. That's good enough. That's good enough. Come on by and get some great barbecue served by some great people and have a great time. They would appreciate it. I would appreciate it as well. Now, that being said, my time's up, y'all, and I got to go. But this day, just like every other, I give it to you. You know what? You're right. America, we ain't perfect. But for this old boy's money, it's the best there is. And God knows there's no place else on his green earth that I'd rather be. Speaking of the good Lord, you do realize by now that he loves you, right? And I hope you know that I do too. Either way, there ain't a doggone thing you can do about either one. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless.